Hi folks, how you doing? It's James JT at the movies, and I'm joined today by my lovely girlfriend Laura.
Hello.
Happy New Year to you all. This is January the 1st, 2021, and as we announced at the end of our Building the Movie Room series, we're going to break in this new movie room with a movie marathon that me and Laura have wanted to do for probably as many years as we've been together, but have never found the time. We are going to watch all of the Alien and all of the Predator films in release order, and do a marathon over the next couple of days for you. So, of course, we're going to start with the first Alien. So, we've just finished watching Alien. We went with the 2003 director's cut. I'm not actually sure, because I can't remember. It's been that long since I've seen the theatrical cut. What's actually different in it? If you know, let us know down in the comments below, because it's literally years since I've seen the theatrical cut. But this remaster of a Blu-ray looked absolutely fantastic. One sec.
Oh yeah.
So I got this version of the Blu-ray that I briefly showed you all before. That is the 40th anniversary of the film coming out, and it's a remaster that Ridley Scott supervised, and it looks absolutely perfect.
It really does.
On the on the big screen behind us here. Really enjoyed the film. Obviously, as we all know, the basic plot of the film is that essentially they're a group of like space truckers, really, aren't they? They're bringing cargo home, and then they get stopped midway on their deep space flight home to go and investigate what could be a distress call. It could be new life. They get sent down to investigate it with promise of a paid bonus. And then obviously they find the alien planet, don't they? John Hurt's character gets exposed to the egg, and the rest, as they say, is history. I absolutely love it. What do you think?
I really liked it. Really did. It's got a good cast in it. Sigourney Weaver, obviously, she does a really good job with her character. John Hurt as well.
John Hurt's fantastic in everything that he does. I love the double act of Yaphet Kotto and Harry Dean Stanton. I always forget that Harry Dean Stanton's in this, which I tweeted as we were watching. It should be a criminal offence to forget that Harry Dean Stanton's in this, because he's just such a great actor. But him and Yaphet Kotto are great. Yaphet Kotto is probably my secondary favourite character in this as Parker. I really wished that he'd actually made it out at the end as well and could have come back for the sequels, but obviously was not to be. Tom Skerritt plays the captain, Dallas, on the ship. He's really good, or at least in the things I've seen him in, at playing that sort of like bureaucratic arse. He does Drumland in Contact, and then in this, obviously, he's playing Dallas, and I didn't care for the character sort of thing. Yeah, basically, sort of got what he deserved, didn't he? Really, for not following the right protocol and arguing with Sigourney Weaver's Ellen Ripley at the start of the film. Oh, more to add, Laura?
I absolutely love how this film's set up. It definitely had its scary moments, didn't it? Really did.
The jump scare, even though we know it's coming, it always gets us.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But yeah.
Knowing what I know now about a few of the scenes as well just makes it a bit funnier as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, the infamous chest burster scene, the cast knew that John Hurt was going to have a reaction to being obviously exposed to the alien, but they didn't know quite what that was going to be. So, absolutely, sort of seeing them and knowing that some of the shock and the sort of like, oh my, the facial expressions is
genuine.
Yeah, it adds to it, doesn't it?
It really, really does.
Well, folks, whenever I do a marathon, I like to rate the films out of 10, much as I do with my reviews and that sort of thing. Laura, out of 10 for you?
I'm going to give this an 8.
I'm going to go 8 as well, absolutely. I really like this one, and be interesting to rewatch them all, because there's some of these I've not seen for ages, and then some of them I've seen actually quite recently in this franchise. Aliens has traditionally always been my favourite, so we'll see how that holds up. But yeah, this is absolutely solid 8 out of 10. And we'll see you next after Aliens. So we're back from Aliens, a second film of our night. And it's just after 10 o'clock now, I think, at night.
I think so, yeah, definitely.
I probably picked the wrong day to start this. I'm blooming flagging. Absolutely flagging. We're ready from bed, but we are going to do one more film after this, which will be 1987's Predator. But we've just finished Aliens, which in my opinion is the best film of the entire franchise. I absolutely love this one. We pick up for Ripley 57 years after the events of Alien. Her ship that she escapes on doesn't get picked up by anybody, and she basically floats around in deep space for 57 years in in the stasis sleep that she's in. And then when she gets back to the company, sort of like mothership, if you like, nobody believes her that these aliens are inhabiting the planet, and they're more concerned with the fact that she's destroyed company property than they are the rest of the crew's safety and everything else like that. And again, sort of like typical sort of bureaucracy sort of steps in. So we then sort of flash forward, and she's asked to basically go and assist a mission with some Marines back to the planet where the aliens are, as Earth have actually been trying to terraform it, and something seems to have gone wrong. They've lost contact with the people that are there colonising the planet. So of course they get there with the Marines. All hell breaks loose. Of course there's aliens there. None of the colonists are left apart from one little girl, Newt, who Ripley sort of takes on as an adoptive daughter in this film. The Marines are all picked off pretty much one by one, and it's just brilliant. It really is. It's tonally so much sort of different to the original film. The original film really is like a horror film, and this one feels so much more like an action film, like a sci-fi action film sort of thing. But obviously it's got the same sort of premise and the same characters, and almost beat for beat in some parts what they do in the first one. And it's just amazing how different filmmakers can come in and take the same property and make one thing this way, and then the other thing something sort of almost feel completely different when, like I say, the jumping off points are the same.
Definitely.
I right enjoyed this one. I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. Laura, what were your thoughts?
I right enjoyed this one as well. I think you're right about this being better than the first. I mean, don't get me wrong, the first one was absolutely brilliant, but I think this one's just a little bit better. I really do. The actors in it are all brilliant, and again, Ripley, absolutely just total, how do we call it, the bad lass. She's brilliant.
She is absolutely a badass, isn't she? A bad lass, I like that. But,
no, she's brilliant. I like it, and the way the story goes, as you've described it, absolutely perfect. Really good plot. I like it. She
comes into her own with this one, does Ripley, doesn't she? She just sort of steps up, and she's just like, "Nope, I've had enough of you."
Yeah.
And here we go. The classic bit at the end, that "Get away from her, you." It's
yeah.
Like, absolutely, yeah.
That she needs to trademark that if she hasn't done already.
What would you give it out of 10 then, Sweet?
I'm gonna give this one an 8.5 out of 10.
There we go. So we're agreed so far in ratings. That won't last. But we'll see you very, very shortly for 1987's Predator. We decided that movie night and a movie marathon would not be right without some popcorn. Now, because I've recently built a home movie room, my aunt and uncle decided that they would get us a popcorn maker, which is absolutely brilliant. So thank you very much, Andrew and Paul. That is amazing. We are now testing it, following the instructions. I think we're starting to get some popping, lads and lasses. Now then, folks, it is the next day. We're on to day 2 of our marathon. We finished watching Predator last night, and it finished at about 1:15 in the morning. And I was, throughout the last half hour of that film, absolutely flagging. There were a couple of points where Laura had to sort of, no, don't go to sleep sort of thing. Anyway, I had to sort of decline the chair and sit up sort of like straight and watch the end of the film. But I've seen it dozens of times. I don't think you have you? So.
No.
I knew what was going on, but yes, a shame to say that I was a little bit tired towards the end. But anyway, we watched Predator. I've got this trilogy collection doofer here. So yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger in this, he leads a team of commandos. They're sent to a South American jungle to retrieve a political figure that's got themselves into a rather sticky situation. There's a few twists and turns with that story there, like it's revealed that one of their commanding officers, played by Carl Weathers, has actually sort of double-crossed them, and that the reasons that they're actually there aren't the reasons that they were given for the mission. Otherwise, Arnie would have never brought his team in. But whilst there's all that going on, there's an alien in the jungle, a predator, and he's hunting them down one by one for sport. and it's basically a game of last man standing between the Predator and Arnie, and it is just absolutely just crazy level action sort of thing. I really enjoyed this film. I don't know what I can say about it that probably hasn't already been said in dozens of other sort of reviews and sort of snapshots. Arnie and the team are great. You know, obviously Carl Weathers and Shane Black in there, and a whole host of other people, and they're going off against this Predator, which is a really formidable foe, and just really like it. It was a nice change of pace as well, I thought, from like the Alien films as well, because obviously it feels different, doesn't it, even though they're, as we later find out, set in the same continuity, but it felt really different, didn't it?
It felt different, yeah. It was nice having this one on Earth in just a jungle somewhere instead of being in deep space. You know, Arnie was absolutely brilliant as his character. He really likes showing off his abs, by the way.
It really is quite a testosterone sort of fueled sort of film, isn't it? And there's
Definitely.
Dylan, you son of a you got all that bit going on, and
no, I liked it. I really liked this one. It had its moments that I was just like, whoa, okay, didn't see that coming, nor did I want to look at that.
Yeah, it's really quite brutal on the violence, isn't it? Like the guy hanging from the tree, and it's like, oh, that's the Sergeant Major or whoever he is, and it's like, oh dear. And then when they find what's left of Shane Black's character, isn't it, that gets the guy with the glasses, and he gets dragged off, and then it's like, well, I think that's him, but then they don't find the rest of his body because it's way up in the trees, and I think Arnie plays really, really well off of, you know, obviously whoever the stunt actor is in the Predator costume. It was originally Jean-Claude Van Damme,
really,
in the Predator costume. And I don't know whether I know they filmed some stuff, but I don't know whether the outfit was still the same and the whole sort of like bit going on with the
face,
with the face, or whether it was just Jean-Claude Van Damme in the costume, or what the crack was. But I'm not too sure why he stepped away, or maybe they asked him to leave. But either way, he wasn't around for the full production, and then it's, you know, sort of like stunt performers in the costume, sort of doing all that sort of you know, performance, as it were. But it's really good. It's just a classic action film, isn't there? What more can be said about it that hasn't already been said? I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
I'm going to give it a 7.5, yeah.
There we go. Alright, well, we're doing this chronologically, so next is 1990's Predator 2. So, folks, we have just finished Predator 2. I love this film. It's my favourite Predator film. It's always been my favourite Predator film. I think it is the best Predator film, and I'm probably incredibly biased.
No, I liked it as well. I really liked it. I think I liked it more than the first one as well.
Well, there you go. So the setting with this one is that it's in Los Angeles. It's set 10 years after the first one. So even though it came out in 1990, it's set in 1997. And it's got that, obviously, that urban feel because it's set in a city. We've got Danny Glover, we've got Bill Paxton in there, we've got Gary Busey. Gary Busey is playing a federal agent on the hunt for the Predator because they know that he's there. And then we've got Danny Glover, who's playing an LAPD sergeant, and he's got his team, and they're basically trying to track down who they believe is a killer. And it's all in the middle of this gang war as well, where we've got, I think it's like Colombians or Mexicans, is it? And they're against Jamaicans, and there's this whole sort of like marijuana sort of territory war going on. And I just really like the stakes in this one. I really like that, obviously, it's more fish out of water for the Predator, because the Predator felt really at home in the jungle last time round. And even though the Marines were, not the Marines, the Commandos, sorry, were really up to it, it felt like that the Predator had more of an advantage on them, whereas this time, realistically, the coppers and the Feds should have had more of an advantage over the Predator, but they didn't, and I just like how that sort of plays.
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed this film more than the first one, and that's not to say that I don't love the first one, because the first one's just an absolute action classic, isn't it? Laura, your first time seeing this, yeah?
Yeah. I liked it. I really did. Like I said, I think it's better than the first. But I agree with what you mean about the Predator being a sort of fish out of water in the big city and everything. Because in the jungle, he had more places to hide. He was more well camouflaged when he wasn't using the thing that turns him invisible and everything. You know, he could hide more well in there. Whereas in the city, it's more of like a greyish area as well. So he'll stand out a bit more there as well. And he's probably not quite good with places to hide and everything. So I thought that was really good how they made it look like that.
Yeah, I did get the impression as well that they were trying to portray the Predator as sort of been more sort of uncomfortable in the surroundings than perhaps the first one was in the jungle. But no, absolutely love this film. Bill Paxton, again, just a shout out to him, and may he rest in peace, one of my favourite actors. I love him in pretty much anything the guy appears in, and it's just such a shame that he's no longer around making films. Danny Glover is an absolute heavyweight. Yeah. Gary Busey just brings a whole level of crazy to this that's brilliant. Yeah. And this is fairly tame Gary Busey as well. This isn't Gary Busey now. but yeah, really like this. Prefer the urban setting. I like the cast. And I just think it's a really great film and story, and I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7.5 as well.
There we go. Right, folks, it's Alien 3 next, and we shall see you after that. So we've just finished Alan Smithy's Alien 3, and it's an okay film. I do enjoy it. What did you think? You've not seen it before.
I thought it was good. Yeah, I could tell it. From certain scenes towards the beginning of the film, I could tell this probably wasn't going to be as good as the first two, but it was good. It had really good bits in it, definitely.
Yeah, just on the whole, not as strong. So obviously the basic plot is after Ripley, Hicks and Newt escape at the end of Aliens, they put themselves into hypersleep again, and of course there's more problems. The ship crashes, Hicks and Newt are killed effectively off screen. And Ripley wakes up in the hospital bay of a prison planet run by the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, and of course there's aliens there. The alien this time, the facehugger, gets on a cow or a bull or an ox or something. Gets on some cattle, and so this time it's got a much more sort of animalistic way about it and gets around on all fours. And they did something slightly different with it. And I think that's what they tried to do with this film anyways, to just do something different again to what had been done before. And like, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head really, Laura. Bits of it worked and bits of it didn't. Obviously very troubled production. David Fincher has washed his hands of this and says that he had a lot of studio interference. Sigourney Weaver doesn't really rate this film either, and had obviously stuck up for Fincher as well. So it's quite a troubled production. And the cut that we watched was the one that they called the assembly cut, which is what they put together for the 2003 DVD box sets. One of the producers oversaw it because David Fincher gave them a blessing to do it, but said that he wouldn't go near it with a barge pole. It's a shame, really. Obviously, David Fincher is possibly my favourite director, and it's a real shame that the David Fincher that we now know and love wasn't allowed the free reins to go and make this an absolutely fantastic film, because it would probably really could have been something special if David Fincher had been just allowed to be David Fincher with it. I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, like you said, certain scenes in this movie worked, but others didn't. There were certain scenes where the alien creature, you could tell it was slightly a bit weaker animation. It just stood out, and you could tell straight away. But
yeah, the effects weren't as good.
Yeah, but other scenes were really good. They did have some jumps in it as well. Yeah,
there were a couple of good scares in it, and I think the cast of characters was one of the stronger points of the film. The chemistry with Charles Dance's character, and towards the sort of the end of the third act with Charles Dutton as well. Paul McGann's in there playing a sort of a mentally ill prisoner, and he does really well with that. It is a good cast of characters. Sigourney Weaver is, as always, excellent as Ellen Ripley, and it kind of just feels like the encore you didn't need. Did this one.
I think I'm going to go with you. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Yeah.
There we go. So we're going to watch now 1997's Alien Resurrection. So it's 9 o'clock on day 2. We have just finished Alien Resurrection, directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet, according to the back of this, because you were asking before. I'm like, I don't know who directed that, but Jean-Pierre Jeunet directed that. I don't mind this film. The third act kind of spoils it for me. I enjoy this probably on the whole. Probably about equally as much as I enjoy Alien 3. But for very different reasons. This one feels more like an Alien film for the most part. The only thing I don't really like is the whole humanoid alien hybrid jobby. You know, the sort of the combo thing. I just think that the effects look really bad on that. And the xenomorphs are so scary.
Yeah.
That actually, when they did that whole thing, it's just kind of like the Scrappy Doo of the Alien series. It's just like, why would you do that? And yeah, I don't know. I liked some of the supporting cast in this one. Winona Ryder's obviously the droid this time around, and that's sort of a change of pace to the droids we've seen previously.
Yeah.
Brad Dourif and Ron Perlman are in there. Sigourney Weaver again is absolutely first class as Ellen Ripley. Do you know what? Obviously, I think that's been the reason that this franchise has probably endured, or endured, you know, went back in the sort of the 70s through the 90s, was because of her. I don't think with anybody else sort of in the lead it'd have worked.
No, I don't think so. Not really.
No. Obviously, this one, it's set 200 years after the events of Alien 3. It's not really established how, but Ripley's cloned, and the reason she's cloned is to get the alien that was sort of...
inside her.
Yeah. The reason she's cloned is to basically they wanted to get the alien that was inside her at the end of Alien 3 out of her. That doesn't really make sense to me. If you're going to clone somebody, like... It's not like a checkpoint in a video game. You don't go back to the last save, do you, sort of thing. It's like she incinerated herself at the end of that film, and then all of a sudden they're cloning her to get the sort of like the fetus of the xenomorph out of her.
Yeah.
But hey ho, they do that. And I suppose it's science fiction in that you've just got to take it on a leap of faith. And the moment you start over analysing these films is the moment you're done for.
Yeah.
Laura, what did you think?
I liked it, but I think I definitely agree about the third act. I mean, I don't really see the point in putting a human xenomorph hybrid in there. Yeah, and I just felt bad for it in the end as well. Obviously, because it sees her as the parent figure, doesn't it?
Yeah, I can't even feel bad. I think that whole bit in the last act is so laughable that it just takes me out of the film. Like I think that there's a bit of a return to form almost in some scenes in it. You know, they're obviously running through the ship, and there's the underwater chase and the unlikely alliances between the crew and with Ripley, and then obviously there's the military guys on there as well. And I thought it evoked in some ways some of the best bits of the first three, and then we just get to that third act, and it's like, what the hell? But there we go. I'm going to give that a 6 out of 10, the same as I gave Alien 3. I'd say I probably enjoy it on the same sort of level, really.
Yeah, definitely 6 out of 10 as well, yeah.
6 out of 10. So there we go. So we're going to move on now to some popcorn fun in 2004's Alien vs Predator.
And we are actually going to have popcorn with it.
Indeed we are. See you after that.
Oh.